Okay, so today is November 15th. It's 1 o'clock Eastern time, and this is our Latin Studies meeting. So we're going to talk about Latin Studies in just a minute. But what I want to make sure everybody knows about is yesterday I published the schedule for all of the live classes that are going to be available. I'm going to share it with you real quick so you can see this. So if you go to classicalliberalarts.com/live, or just go to the website and click on this live classes link up here on the top, you'll see the whole schedule of what's going to be available. So there's a bunch of classes available. I'll be teaching most of them. Mrs. Michael will be teaching classes for younger students, which if you're younger, if you're 12 years old or younger, I don't think many of you are, but some of you are. If you're under 12, you're welcome to attend Mrs. Michael's classes. But you'll see there's 3 classes a day I'm going to teach, and 1 class a day Mrs. Michael's going to teach. On Mondays at 11 a.m., and these are all Eastern times, I'm going to teach a class on classical reasoning. We'll walk through classical reasoning together. At 1 o'clock, we have our sacred scripture class, and at 3 o'clock, we'll have Summa Theologica. On Tuesdays, I'll do classical rhetoric in the morning. Then Mrs. Michael will do religion for younger kids. Then I'll do Aesop's Fables like usual, and then moral philosophy at 3 o'clock. On Wednesdays, I'm going to do classical arithmetic and classical music in the morning. Mrs. Michael will do elementary English. I'll do Latin studies that we're doing right now, and then natural philosophy at 3. On Thursdays, I'll do classical geometry and astronomy. At noon, Mrs. Michael will do elementary arithmetic. At 1, I'll do Greek studies, and then at 3, I'll do world history. Then on Fridays at 11, I'll do classical humanities. Mrs. Michael will do elementary humanities at 12. At 1, I'll do composition, logic, and rhetoric, and then at 3, American history and government. Okay, so those are the classes that are going to be available. Now that I've done that, I'll open the chat back up. Anybody have any questions about any of these classes? They'll all be recorded, so if you can't attend, it's okay. But I'll be offering 3 courses a day, and the purpose of these classes is to just help you with all of these studies, to help you so you can get through these lessons. Because the challenge is there's 2 types of students. Give me 1 sec, Cecilia, I'll answer that. You can all do any classes, yeah. There's 2 kinds of students. There's one type of student who is able to study independently really well, and that student submits assignments that are complete. You know, they're all free. Yes, Sarah. The best students, the good students can study on their own, complete the assignments, and they submit them, and we look at them and we give them 100% score. And then there are other students who can't do that. There are other students who don't follow instructions. They don't study the lessons. They don't understand the lessons. They try to answer the questions before they study the lessons. They just make stuff up. They answer with their own ideas. And there are cheaters who, go and just search Google or Chat GPT or something like that. So we got 2 kinds of students. The purpose of these live classes is not to help the good students, because good students don't need help. The purpose of these students the purpose of these classes, is to help students understand the lessons so that they can complete assignments and get full credit the first try. That's the goal. The goal is to get full credit on your assignments on your first try. All right. And by having these live classes, by talking about these topics, my desire is to help students pass their assignments on their first try. So if you fuss about grading, like when are you going to grade my this, or when are you going to grade that, or these live classes are intended to help grading go faster by helping more students complete their assignments on the first try. Okay. So these classes are intended to help students pass their assignments. They're also intended to be support. So if you have questions, like, for example, George before just asked a question about reasoning. If you have questions about your studies, I'm just going to be available during live class time and after live class time for any questions you have. So you have no excuse. You've got help available. You just have to bring your questions and I'll help you understand these lessons so you can complete the assignments. But at the same time, these live classes don't replace the need to study. You know, you need to study on your own. You need to complete assignments, complete quizzes, because that's where you get all of your reward for studying. All of your records are based on your own studies. These live classes are just intended to be helpful. Okay. So that's that. Now cheating, yeah, I see you guys chatting about cheating. Those of you, you know that my sons have been helping me with grading, my older sons, who are studying and helping grading. One of the things that Plato taught was in order to be a good, like to be a good police officer, the best police officer is usually a person who was a thief. Because the people who do evil, they know how evil works, and they're usually the best ones at catching other people doing evil. My sons, they're crafty, shrewd boys. They study with me, obviously, but they know all the tricks of the trade. They know all the websites. They know how to use ChatGPT and all that stuff. But that makes them really good graders because they know exactly what fake answers look like. So it's going to be very difficult to cheat with them grading, and they're just helping me. So they grade it. And then if any of you have any criticisms or concerns about grades you receive, just let me know. Okay. There may be a time once in a while where they're a little too strict. They'll usually be too strict, but they're helping me with 100 level and 200 level classes, and then I keep all the higher level classes for myself. Okay. And occasionally you'll see you'll see me grading those assignments, but they'll be helping me when things are busy. Okay. Yeah, they study themselves, but in the evenings they take some time and help out grading. They're teenage students. One's 17, one's 16, one's 14. But they help. I check their grades to make sure things look good. And if you ever think anything doesn't look good, just let me know. I'll regrade it for you. Okay. So that's it. All right. So let's get started with Latin. So the schedule of classes is up on the live classes page. You're welcome to join any of those classes you want. And they'll be starting up after Thanksgiving. Okay. So after Thanksgiving, we'll get started. All those classes will be available. Now, as for Latin, today what I'd like to do is talk about grammar. So that's it with chat. All right. If you chat about anything other than Latin after this point, I'm going to remove you from the class. So no more chatting unless you're responding to what I'm saying or asking questions. Okay. Cecilia, go ahead. What was your question? Oh yeah, classical arithmetic and music. Is that right? Is that what you asked about? I'm just going to go through those courses. So we have classical arithmetic as a course, classical music is a course, and then classical geometry and astronomy are courses. I'm just going to walk through those books, talk about all the topics, and make it as easy to understand as I can. Okay. Some of those courses are difficult to study by yourself just because it talks about issues that you may not be familiar with. So just by me introducing them, talking through them should make them easier for you. Okay. So that's the purpose of live classes. All right. As far as grammar goes, let's go ahead and get started with Latin grammar. I'd like to spend some time today on grammar. We've been reading each week, going through Latin reading. Last week, I started to notice that most of you weren't ready for that third lesson. Some of you are still just getting started. So I want to give you some time to catch up. Hopefully you get lessons 1 and 2 and 3 done in Latin reading, so we can keep moving together to some degree for reading and the vocabulary. But today I'm going to take a break from reading and spend the time on grammar. All right. Now, what I'd like to do is make Latin grammar as easy as I can. Sometimes just talking about it makes more sense of it. And I can add details that may not be in the book, or I can explain things that are in the book and make the book easier for you to study. So my goal here is to walk you through the lesson, talk about these topics, and then just like Aesop's fables, I'd like you to turn around, go study these lessons for yourself, complete the assignments, and get credit. Okay. You should be able to see on your screen, I'm on lesson Article 16, okay? This is Latin Grammar 1, and you can see right here, Article 16. You can all see my screen, right? Okay. So article number 16 in Latin grammar. Now, before Article 16, Articles 1 to 15 are all about letters and pronunciation and syllables and accents and stuff like that. In Article 16, the topic changes and we get into the parts of speech, which is really where grammar begins. So we've got a list of the parts of speech here in Article 16. You can see that they're listed here: substantive, adjective, pronoun, verb, adverb, preposition, and conjunction. Last week, let's see if anybody pays attention. Last week, I don't know whether I talked about it in Latin class or Greek class, but most of you are in both of the classes. Last week, I said there are two things to look for when we identify parts of speech. I said there are two things we have to pay attention to identify the parts of speech. Does anybody remember what one or both of them are? How do we figure out the part of speech for a word? If I see a word like verbum in Latin, how do I figure out what part of speech it is? Okay. How do I figure out the part of speech? All right. Connor got one of them. It's meaning. That's good. Connor Fennett's got one of them. It's meaning. That's one way. Okay. That's one way. The endings is not right, so give up on that answer. There's one other way. We look at the meaning of the word. Context is not the right answer. Context is not the right answer. We look at the meaning of the word and something else. I'll give you like 10 seconds, and then I'll assume you don't know. The meaning of the word and what else? I'm going to type it here. That's close, Sarah. I'm going to type the answer. Very good, Sarah. You got it. I was just typing that. Okay, so the two things we look at the meaning of the word. That's one source of help to identify the part of speech. And then we look at its function, what it does in the sentence. Very good, Sarah. Sarah, can I just ask quickly how old you are? How old are you? If you don't mind telling me. 14, great. I just want everybody to know Sarah is a very good student in grammar. She does very good work. So if you want to make a friend to help you with grammar study, I recommend Sarah as a good friend. All right. So very good. So we've got the meaning of a word and the function of that word in the sentence. And when I say function of the word, I mean, what does that word actually do in the sentence? Does it name the subject? Does it tell us about an action done by the subject? Does it connect different parts of the sentence? Does it stand in place of another word? Does it modify a certain word? Those are the ideas of functions, okay? So two things to look at. Two things to look at. The meaning of the word and the function of the word. So if we learn the parts of speech here, and then we study vocabulary and understand the functions, we should be able to identify the parts of speech more and more easily. And that's really the first challenge in grammar. In Latin reading, what do we focus on learning in Latin reading? Latin reading 1. What's our focus in Latin reading 1? What are we trying to learn in Latin reading 1? No, not just John. Yeah, James is right. We're focused on learning vocabulary. Okay, when you start Latin, you don't have any, you don't even know any words. So there's no point trying to learn grammar when you don't know any words. That would be like trying to teach an infant grammar before the infant even started to learn words, right? It wouldn't make any sense. So in Latin reading 1, we just practice translating the Gospel of John and we build our vocabulary. We get hundreds and hundreds of words in Latin in our vocabulary. And what's good about that vocabulary is it's real Latin. So we're learning the words as they're really used in real Latin sentences, and we build a good we build a good vocabulary. Once we start to build our vocabulary, get, 5, 6, 7 lessons into Latin reading, we've got a couple hundred words that we've learned, then it's helpful to start studying grammar. But the first thing in grammar that really matters is the ability to identify the parts of speech. Now, if you look at the Latin reading lessons, you'll see that I tell you the parts of speech, all right? So I just put it in the lesson. I'll tell you that verbum is a noun, non is an adverb, erat is a verb, and so on. So I'll just tell you the parts of speech just so you can start getting familiar with them. But the challenge that you should make for yourself is to ask yourself whether you can identify the part of speech without help, right? That's sort of the next step in your grammar studies, whether you can identify parts of speech. So here in Article 16 in Latin grammar, here in Article 16, we've got descriptions of the parts of speech. So if you know the meaning of Latin words and you know the definitions or descriptions here of the parts of speech, you should be able to start identifying what part of speech any word is. So let's just look at these real quick. The substantive gives a name. The substantive gives a name of a thing. It could be the name of a group of things, like wir. Wir is a name of a group of things. Anything that meets the definition of man can be called man. So it names a group. Even though it's one thing, it's a name for a group. But then it can also be proper. Kokles is the name of an individual. Cicero, Socrates, Aristotle, Jesus, those are proper substantive nouns. We've got common substantive nouns and we've got proper substantive nouns, okay? So substantive is a part of speech that gives a name, either of a class of things or of an individual, all right? The second part of speech is the adjective. The adjective adds a quality to the substantive. The adjective adds a quality to the substantive, and there are examples. Bonus vir. Bonus vir. The word bonus is added to vir. It adds a quality to the substantive, and we have the phrase a good man. Bonus vir. All right, adjective. Those are usually pretty easy, substantives and adjectives. Then we get to pronouns. A pronoun points out a thing without describing it. A pronoun points out a thing without describing it, without giving any details. Another definition or description of a pronoun is a word that stands in place of a substantive, okay? A word that stands in place of a noun. That's what pronoun means, stands for a noun. And we have some examples. Hic means this. Notice that the word hic is pointing something out, right? This. Ille means that, and ego means I. So those are examples of pronouns. Then we've got the verb. The verb, hold on, quick question from Josh. May a pronoun stand for an adjective? A pronoun can be used like an adjective, if that's what you're asking. For example, here we see bonus vir, right? You see bonus vir, a good man. I could also write hic vir, which means this man, okay? Or ille, and we'll see more examples of that. So yeah, the word adjective in general just means anything that's used to add detail to a substantive. There are pronouns that are called demonstrative pronouns that are sometimes used like adjectives, okay? I think that's what you're asking there, Josh. All right. You mentioned collective nouns, and I can tell you studied classical grammar because that's where we learn that stuff. Collective nouns are nouns that refer to groups of things, but it's a little different. It's more like the word flock or herd, right? Where the name actually names a number of things, okay? Next up, a verb. A verb expresses a complete thought, whether assertion, wish, or command. A verb expresses a complete thought. Now, what's interesting, think about your Latin reading lessons. What does the word verbum mean? What does the word verbum mean? Yeah, that's where we get the word verb from. Verb comes from the word verbum in Latin, and the word just means word, not world, not world. That's mundus. Verbo means word, okay? And then we have the word verb in English. And you might wonder, why would one of the parts of speech basically be called the word? Why would one of the parts of speech be called word? That seems too general. The reason why is because the verb is really the most important word of a sentence. Everything you need is present in a verb. That's why it says a verb expresses a complete thought. A verb expresses a complete thought, in Latin at least. So if we look at this verb amat, we see the meaning of it is he loves. So we've got the subject identified in the verb, and we've got the action identified in the verb. We've got a subject and a predicate in the word, in one word, amat. And that's why the verb is called verbum. It just means the word, the key word that actually is necessary to make a sentence, okay? So you can have just a verb and have a complete sentence. Yeah, that's right, George. You can use one verb and have a complete sentence in just that one word. And you get some examples here. Now, I don't know that we can say that in English, because in English, the pronoun or the noun is not identified by the verb. Yeah, James, that's a command, right? That'd be an example of a command. Notice it says the verb expresses a complete thought, whether assertion. What is an assertion? Who can tell me what an assertion is? What does that mean? What is an assertion? What's an assertion? You can take a guess. If you can take an intelligent guess. What is an assertion? It can't be a command because command is listed there. Assertion, wish, or command. There are three different kinds of thoughts: an assertion, a wish, or command. So it can't be command, or otherwise that would mean a command, a wish, or a command. A fact, that's getting close, Lara. All right, let me explain. An assertion is a simple statement of fact, okay? A simple statement is an assertion. So if I say, it is raining outside, it is raining, that's a simple assertion, all right? That's a simple statement of fact. Very good, Jude. That's right, a declarative sentence, okay? A declarative sentence is an assertion, all right? And what's important about an assertion, anyone who's studying reasoning should be able to tell me what's important about an assertion. An assertion is either true or false, right? An assertion can be true or false. So if I say it's raining outside, we can look outside and check to see whether or not that assertion is true or false. If I say I was born in 1975, we can check and see if that is true or false. An assertion can be true or false. A wish and a command can't be true or false. Okay, that's right, George. Premises are assertions. Okay. So an assertion is a statement of fact, a statement that can be true or false. That's an assertion. A wish can't be true or false because we're not actually asserting anything. If I say, I wish it was raining outside, right? I wish it was raining. Well, that's not true or false. You could say, well, whether you wish it or not is true or false. But if I say, I wish it would snow, the phrase "it would snow" is not being asserted. It's not true or false. It's just an expression of a desire. And then a command also can't be true or false. James wrote "run" before as an example of a command. A command is not true or false. So an assertion can be true or false. A wish or a command cannot be true or false. Three different ways of expressing action, three different kinds of thought. All right. So that's a verb. A verb, stick with me here. A verb expresses a complete thought. That's what makes it the most important part of speech. A verb expresses a complete thought, whether it is an assertion, a simple statement, a declarative sentence, a wish. A prayer would also be included as a wish. Follow me here. A prayer would also be a wish or a command. Okay, 3 different kinds of thought, 3 different ways of speaking. And then you've got examples there. Amat is an assertion. He loves. It's an example of the first kind of thought. He loves, an assertion. Then amet. Amet is an example of a wish. Notice the form changes, that A changes to be an E, the vowel changes, and that actually expresses a different idea. That expresses a wish. Amet is may he love, not he loves, but may he love. And then lastly, ama. Ama is a command, love. And it's second person. That's why they put thou in there, just to show that it's second person. Love. Usually we don't add the pronoun when we command because we're usually talking to the person. So it's not, we don't have to identify the person, because if we're giving a command, we're usually looking at the person, telling him what to do. So we don't have to identify the person. All right, so 3 kinds of thoughts expressed by the verb. The verb expresses a complete thought, whether an assertion, a wish, or a command. Now, those first 4 parts of speech in Latin, the first 4 are the most difficult ones because they use lots of different forms, okay? So those first 4 that are listed there, substantives, adjectives, pronouns, and verbs, they have lots of different forms in Latin. So we're going to spend most of our time in Latin grammar learning all the forms of substantives, adjectives, pronouns, and verbs. The last 3 are actually very easy because they're just vocabulary words. They don't have different forms. The first one is the adverb. The first one is an adverb. An adverb shows circumstances. Pay attention here. An adverb shows circumstances. So an adverb adds detail to a sentence. It adds detail. It adds detail sometimes to a verb. It can also add detail to an adjective and so on. An adverb shows circumstances, okay? A preposition shows local relation. A preposition shows local relation. It shows relations between different nouns or pronouns in a sentence. A preposition shows relations. A preposition shows relations between the different words in a sentence. And then lastly, a conjunction shows connection, okay? A conjunction shows connection. All right, so I'm going to turn chat off here, since that's something you obviously can't handle. I'll turn the chat off. So there we've got the parts of speech. Now remember, when I see students submit assignments and I know that I explained this in a live class, the student was present in the live class and just didn't pay attention, it makes it all that easier to just give low scores and leave it as it is. And the students who do well will be the ones paying attention. So you just spite yourself. Help is available. You have to make use of it. So there we've got the parts of speech listed. We've got a substantive, and you should know what a substantive does, what the function of a substantive is, what an adjective is, and what its function is. It adds quality to the substantive. What a pronoun is, what its function is. It points something out without describing it. What a verb is, it expresses an assertion, a wish, or a command. What an adverb is, it shows circumstances. What a preposition is, it shows relationships between nouns or pronouns in a sentence. And then what a conjunction is, it connects different parts of speech. So if you know the meaning of a word and you can think about its function, you should be able to identify its part of speech. So let's practice a little, okay? Let's practice. I'm going to take a minute. Just give me 1 second here. I'm going to open up Latin reading real quick. 1 minute. I should have had this ready, but I didn't expect to do this. Let me open this up real quick. So let's just take a look at lesson 1 in Latin reading, which most of you should be comfortable with. Just a second. Okay, so here's lesson 1 in Latin reading. We've got a bunch of words. We've got a bunch of words here, and what I'll do is I'll try to split my screen so we can see both of these things. I'll put that over there, and I'll put our grammar book there. Make it like this. Hold on a second. Okay, so I'll split my screen so we can see both of these things. So on the left, we've got our Latin reading, and on the right here, we've got our grammar lesson with the functions of the parts of speech. So let's go through here. All right, the first word we've got here is in. Okay, you think about the meaning of the word and then ask about its function. What does it do? And you can just use the process of elimination. Does the word in give a name? And I'll open up chat just so you can answer my questions. Does the word in give a name? Yes or no? Does the word in give a name? No. Okay, so we can cancel a substantive. It's not a substantive. Does it add a quality to a substantive? Does it add a quality to a substantive? No. Does it point something out? Does the word in point something out? Does it point something out? No, it does not point anything out. Okay. I don't know why you would say the word in points something out. Okay. It does not point anything out. You have to think. You have to think. Does it express a complete thought? Does it express a complete thought? No, it does not express a complete thought. Does it show circumstances? Does it show circumstances? Does it tell a time when? Does it describe? Does it add detail to a verb or adjective? No, it doesn't. Does it show relationships between different nouns in a sentence? Does it show relation between different things in a sentence? And the answer there is yes, it does. It says the word was in the beginning. So it shows that there is a relationship in this sentence between these two nouns, between principio and verbum. There is a relation between these two nouns. Verbum was in principio. So there's a relationship between those two nouns. Okay. And then we don't have to even ask about this one, but we know, does in show a connection of any kind? Does it show connection? No, it doesn't. Okay. So we just used the process of elimination there, and we identified the right part of speech. It's a preposition. Now, sometimes it's hard to figure it out, but it's one thing to start out with 7 different parts of speech and have no idea. And it's a very different thing to narrow it down to 2, maybe 3 at the worst. Okay. So it's not that difficult. Next up, we've got the word principio. Principio. So first of all, think about the meaning of that word. The first thing you think about is the meaning. All right. What does principio mean? It's an easy question. Beginning. Good. All right. So we know what the word means. It means the beginning. Good. So let's go through the list here. Now we're going to ask about its function. Does the word principio give a name of something? Does it give a name of something? Does it name something? Principio. Well, this is why you struggle with parts of speech. It certainly does give a name of something. It names the beginning, right? It's the name of the beginning. Okay. I don't know why, Natasha, there's no reason to translate the sentence. We're talking about one word, just principio. Okay, so I asked, does the word principio name something? It certainly does name something. It names the idea of the beginning, right? In the beginning. So it does give a name. It's a substantive. Now, if you said no to that, this is why you struggle to identify parts of speech. All right. It does give a name. Principio. It's the name of an idea. It's the name of the idea that we call the beginning in English, principio in Latin. All right. Next up, we've got the word erat. So think first, what's the meaning? What's the meaning of the word erat? Was. Very good. All right. So you know the meaning. And now you've got to look at that sentence, in principio erat verbum, and you've got to think, what is the function of this word? So let's go from the top. Does it give a name? Is erat the name of something? No. Okay. It's not the name of an idea. How about adjective? Does it add a quality to the substantive? Does it add a quality? Is it like good? Is it like bonus? Does it add a quality to a substantive? No. Notice also how the examples can help you, right? Look at the examples and ask, is it like one of those examples? So it's not an adjective. A pronoun points something out. Does the verb erat, or I just gave it away, sorry. Does the word erat point something out? No, it doesn't point anything out, right? And then fourth, a verb expresses a complete thought, an assertion, a wish, or a command. Does erat express an assertion, wish, or command? Yes, all right? That's why it's a verb. Sorry, I gave that one away. It's too easy for me just to ramble off grammar stuff. Okay, good. Next up, we've got verbum. And this is a funny one because you're going to say, well, obviously verbum is a verb, right? It's the word, it's what the word is, okay? But it's actually not a verb. So this is kind of wacky, right? So let's start at the beginning. The word verbum, the word, does it name an idea? Does it name an idea? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It names an idea, okay? So it's a substantive. It gives a name of an idea. So that's verbum. So that's a little confusing, right? To say that verbum is not a verbum, right? Verbum is actually a substantive. So that's a little confusing, but I think you get what I mean. All right, so that's good. Next, we've got this word et. What does the word et means? What does the word et means? Good, that's an easy one, right? Okay, so now let's think about its function. So we got the meaning, let's think about its function. Does the word et give a name of an idea? Does the word et give a name of an idea? No, it doesn't. Very good. Does the word et add a quality to a name? Does the word et add a quality? No, very good. Does it point something out? Does the word et point something out? No. Does the word et express an assertion, wish, or command? No, it does not. It does not express an assertion, wish, or command. Not sure why anyone would say yes there. Next, does it show circumstances? Does it provide any kind of detail, like place where, time when, manner of doing something? Does it show circumstances? No. Does it show a local relation? Does it show a relation between different nouns in the sentence? No. Does it connect different parts of the sentence? Does it connect? Yes, it does connect. So et is a conjunction. How did we know that? Let me ask you this again. What two things do we have to ask? What two things do we have to think about to identify the part of speech? What two things do we have to think about to identify the part of speech? Meaning and function. Very good. Okay, very good. So you're learning. Very good. Meaning and function. Good. Josh asked, why is there no participle in the Latin parts of speech? Now, Josh, the only reason you would ask that is because you learned participle someplace else. A participle can be considered a verb or an adjective. And in this grammar book, participle is going to be presented as a form of a verb, okay? You'll see that when we get to verbs. Some grammar books list participle as one of the parts of speech, and you could make an argument that that's a good idea, but this book just presents it as a form of a verb, okay? All right, so we did et. Then we have verbum again, and we have erat again. Now we've got apud. What does the word apud mean? What does the word apud mean? With. Very good. Okay. So we know the meaning. We know the meaning. It means with. What's the second thing we have to think about? We know the meaning. What's the second thing? Function. Very good. All right. And we've got to know the functions of the parts of speech, which we learn by studying grammar. We have to know the functions of the parts of speech by studying this lesson, Article 16, where we learn them. Okay, so now let's go through. We know apud means with. Does it name an idea? Does the word apud name an idea? Yes or no? No, very good. Does it add a quality? Does the word apud add a quality to a noun? No, it does not. Does it point out a noun? Does it point something out? No, it does not. Very good. Does it express an assertion, wish, or command? Apud. Does it express an assertion, wish, or command? No. Does it show circumstances? Does it add detail or manner to a verb or adjective? No, it does not. It doesn't add circumstances to the sentence. Does it show relationship between different nouns, different names in the sentence? Does it show a relationship between different nouns? Some of you, I think, are answering faster than you think. Take your time and think about it. Okay. Yes, it does. Okay. We see the verbum and deum have a relationship. Verbum and deum have a relationship. Verbum erat apud deum. So it shows a relationship between those two nouns. It shows that the verbum was with deum. Okay. So it's a preposition. Next up, we've got deum. What does deum mean? What does deum mean? God, very good. So we know the meaning. Now let's think of the function. Does deum give a name of an idea? Does deum name something? Yes, it does. I don't know why you would say no. I don't know. Now let me just say this. A couple of you said no, all right? What I'd like to ask you to think about is why you said no. Why did you say no? Because there may be an idea that you're not understanding here that's leading you to say no. Like maybe when I say the word name, you think of the word like Thomas or Mary or a proper name. But that's not what I mean by name. Okay. You see, Macrina, I think you're thinking of proper names, and you're only going to identify a proper name as a name, and that's what you're getting wrong there. Okay. We have to remember common nouns. The word noun just means name. So a common noun is a name of a class of things. Okay. So when I say does it name something, it doesn't mean with a proper name like Thomas or Mary. It means is it a name of either a class or an individual thing? And again, I said this before. Let me remind you of this because I think it may be helpful. Look at the examples. So for substantive, for example, for substantive, we see some examples. Vir, which means man, all right? Then kokles, which is actually the name of an individual, a proper name. Notice it's got a capital C at the beginning, a proper name. And then also donum, which means gift. Donum is a common name, all right? So make sure when I say the word name, you don't think like an English-speaking person that a name is someone's name. It can also be a common name. The word noun just means name, okay? So the word deum, does it give a name? Yes, it names this idea. It names it deum, okay? Good. Yeah, so sometimes when you get the wrong answer, ask yourself why, what's causing me to write what I wrote, because that might be my problem, okay? All right. So we know deum is a substantive noun. Next up, all these words we've already identified. Let's go to hoc. In line 2 here, the word hoc, what does it mean? What does hoc mean? Hoc means this. Very good. Okay. Good. That's right. Let's go through our functions here. Does the word hoc give a name? Does the word hoc give a name? No, it's not a substantive. Does the word hoc add a quality to the substantive? Does it add a quality? Is it like bonus? Bonus means good. Is it a word like bonus? No. All right. So remember, the examples can be helpful. Third, does the word hoc point something out without describing it? Yes, it does. And we can see one of the examples is actually hic, which is where hoc comes from. Hoc is a form of hic. Good. So hoc is a pronoun. Good. We already did erat. We already did all of this. So let's go down to omnia. All right. Let's go down to omnia. All right. Omnia. What does the word omnia mean, first of all? All things. Very good. All or all things. Good. All right, so let's think about its function now. Does the word omnia give a name? Does the word omnia give a name? Does it name something, either proper or common? No, it does not. Right, good. So it's not a substantive. Next, does it add a quality to a substantive? Does it add a quality to a substantive like bonus? Does it add a quality? Yeah, this is a difficult one. You all got this one wrong, okay? It does add a quality. It does add a quality. All right. Yeah, well, now you can't start typing yes now. Oh, what I meant to say was yes, actually. I know my fingers typed no, but I meant to say yes. No. Just relax. It's okay if you get one wrong. Who remembers what I told you was the test you can use to test an adjective? Does anybody remember? The thing test. Very good. All right. So a helpful way to check for an adjective is to use the thing test. You just put the word thing after or things, and if it makes sense, it's probably an adjective, right? The thing test. Yeah. So if I say all, oops, sorry. If I say all and then add things next to it, does that make sense? Does all things make sense? Yes, right? So the thing test, and that's not a real test. That's just one of my wacky, recommendations. Okay. I didn't learn that anywhere. I just made it up. But the thing test is helpful to identify adjectives, right? And if we went through the rest of the parts of speech, the answer would be no to all the rest. So we'd be confused. If you said no to adjective, you'd say no to all the rest, and then you'd be ready to quit. That is not how you spell adjective. That's more like a generous addict, right? Addict give, I guess we could say. You've got to work on spelling. Got to work on spelling. All right. Got to work on spelling. Okay, let's keep going. We've got the word pad. We've got time for a couple more. I think you're getting a little more comfortable at this. Next, we've got the word pad. So let's go with the meaning. What does pad mean? Very good. You guys have vocabulary well figured out. That's the purpose of Latin Reading 1, so that's good. By or through, both of those are right. Both of those are right. All right, so that's good. You know the meaning. Now let's think about the function. Does the word pad give a name? Does the word pad give a name? No. Very good. Does it add a quality to a substantive? Is it like bonus? Does it add a quality to the substantive? No, that's correct. Does it point something out? Does it point something out? The word pad. Someone's writing yes. I don't know how the word through is pointing anything out. Can you explain to me how the word through is pointing something out? I mean, can you imagine looking out a window, pointing with your finger and saying through, through, through? Like that doesn't make any sense. How is that pointing something out? How is that pointing something out? It's not pointing anything out. So it's not a pronoun. It's not pointing anything out. It's not standing in the place of any noun. Okay. And I'm not picking on, I'm just saying think. You just think about them. Think a little more carefully. All right. Think a little more carefully. So it's not a pronoun. Pad doesn't point anything out. It means through. Okay. Yeah, accident. That's the problem with spelling is sometimes I just type the word I type just looks like the totally wrong answer. Just typo, I just accidentally hit the wrong 37 keys, Yeah. Maybe that's why maybe some people misspell intentionally to use it as a way out of trouble. Whenever they write something, they can say, "Oh, that's just, I have a spelling problem." Sometimes I accidentally spell adjective as pronoun, Yeah. All right. So let's keep going here. So per doesn't point anything out. Does per express an assertion, wish, or command? Does per express an assertion, wish, or command? And if you're thinking of the answer no, it's spelled N-O. It's not spelled Y-E-S. So be careful. All right. Don't worry. I'm here to help you guys. I'm here to help. I'll help you with this stuff. Okay. Next up. Per. Does it express or show circumstances? Does it show circumstances? Does it show circumstances? Does it add detail to a verb or an adjective? No. Does it show a relationship between different words in a sentence? Does it show a relationship between different words in a sentence? Yes. Anna says no. Cecilia says tack. I don't know. That's a new one. A Polish for yes. Well, see, that's another trick, right? When you start throwing foreign languages in that we don't know, and then you just tell us that, oh yeah, that's just the Polish word for the right answer, right? No, that doesn't work. Okay. Where would I look up Polish words? Like, what do you think? I have a Polish dictionary on my desk? We don't refer to Polish on a normal everyday basis around here. All right. Don't you have Greek? Yes. Google Translate. Oh, great. Here we go. Now we're going to see who the cheaters are because they're going to reveal all the secret websites, Oh, you just enter it into Google. Yeah, you just revealed yourself. Just do what I do. Just copy it and paste it into Google. Then copy and paste the answer, change a couple words, spell a few things wrong intentionally, and submit it. Yeah. Okay. So anyway. So per is a preposition, shows local relation. All right, next one up, ipsum. We're running out of time here. Let's do one more word, okay? Cheater is spelled C-H-E-A. So, C-H-E-A. All right, let's look at ipsum. What does ipsum mean? What does ipsum mean? Ipsum means him. Very good. Natasha wrote That's not correct. Hazelbarts are jumping ahead and just giving us the answer. We wanted just the meaning first, just the meaning. Be patient, be patient, be patient. What does ipsum mean? Let's stick with ipsum. What does ipsum mean? Him. Good. All right. Does ipsum give a name? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Max said Hess. Nope. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. Henry's writing Greek here. Thinks he's so cool. All right. So there's obviously disagreement on this one. Obviously, this is a controversial question. One of you can take this up on a Friday. You can argue whether ipsum names a thing or not. It does not give a name. It does not give a name. There's no person named. There's no thing or person named him in the whole world, right? There's nothing called him. Him does not name a thing. Does it add a quality to the substantive? Does it add a quality to the substantive? No. Does it point something out without describing it? Does it point something out without describing it? Yes, good. Okay. All right, we're going to stop there for today because I can feel the ADD medication seems to be wearing off at this point. So we need to start wrapping up. I can feel you guys unraveling quickly here. It's 1:59. So technically you're correct, Jude. It's not 2 o'clock yet, but 1:59 is quite close to 2 o'clock. But you did pretty well. Once we got into the hang of identifying the meaning and then identifying the function, we had a few stragglers who were struggling, but most of you did pretty well. What's most important, even if you get it wrong, ask yourself what caused you to answer as you did, because that's what you're not understanding. Okay. And that's important for you to figure out. What is it that's causing you to think of the wrong answer and get it wrong? So that's good. So that's good practice for identifying parts of speech. Nicholas just joined. Welcome, Nicholas. Good timing. You're just in time for nothing because we're finished. But anyway, identifying parts of speech is very important in grammar. Hopefully that's helpful. It's time for us to wrap up here today. And I recommend you practice this on your own. In Latin Reading 1, you've got the part of speech given in the exposition, so you can test yourself and then check your answer and see if you get them right. But we'll do this once in a while because it's important. And now let me just say this, all right? Let me say this real quick. Follow me here. Stop chatting. Stop chatting. I know you're all ambitious comedians here, but listen. We just went over Article 16 in Latin grammar. We just went over Article 16. So listen. You can go right now and complete the assignments for Article 16. Just go study Article 16 in Latin grammar, submit the assignment, and get the credit for it. It should be easy for you. Okay, it's a good time to do that. So I recommend you go complete the assignment and get the credit for it now that we've talked about it and you've got it fresh in your head and practiced it. Go complete those assignments and get that lesson done. All right. So that's it for today. We're going to wrap up. If there's any questions, I'll stay on in the chat after I clean out some annoying distractors in the chat. If there's any questions, anybody here to actually study, I'll be here to answer some questions, but I'm going to clean up the chat right now so we can have some questions and answer as we continue. All right. So that's all for today. I'm going to stop the recording and I'll hang around until questions are finished. All right.